Okay, so I'm reacting to What is a High Value Woman by the Common Ground Conversations. And I actually know these guys personally, so they have a very similar mission that I do, in which case they explore social and controversial issues from both sides. So let's take a look to see how well they do that and if they were able to get to the bottom of people's beliefs. And also let me know in the comments, what do you guys think is a high value woman?
What is a high value woman? And high value in the sense of what do men tend to select for in a woman? And then we can also ask the question, what do women tend to select for in a man? So tell me, what do you think?
I take issue with the two aspects of this. One, the high value aspect, I feel like that is rooted in capitalism, I've
done enough of these interviews, so I know what the interviewer's doing, man. The thing is, with a lot of these videos, of course, right, I want to get as many nuanced takes as possible, but also with these street interviews, I'm trying to get the whole spectrum, right? So with the dude, how he's dressed, right, tote bag, flashy fit. Honestly, it's a dope fit, but he definitely knew the type of answer he was gonna get. We'll see though. Maybe I'm judging. Maybe I'm not exploring the unfamiliar.
Trying to quantify someone's existence based on their personality or based on certain traits that they exhibit, and if they don't exhibit those traits, then they're just not meant for society. I find that really rooted in capitalism. And then I also find
why is it rooted in capitalism?
Yeah, I had the same question. I've noticed that a lot of times people use certain buzzwords to explain their reasoning, but that's kind of a telltale sign that they just, whatever opinion that they're spewing out at the moment was something that they just read on Twitter. I don't see the connection between capitalism and this topic of a high value woman or man.
Well, high value, quantifying someone based on certain things, if someone doesn't meet that standard, then they're not meant for society. That's kind of what that implies.
Not necessarily. I think it's why are these your friends as opposed to all these other people that you've met in your life? Because you value certain personality traits in those people.
Okay.
Great question in rebuttal to get to the bottom of their beliefs.
Is that capitalism?
Well, no, I just think that the term high value, would you guys agree with that? It just kind of fits in with kind of
measuring a person with that sort of language.
I think this is an uncomfortable truth for a lot of people, but the fact is that life is a competition in every realm. The fact that you guys are watching this video right now means that you guys are not watching something else or diverting your attention to something else. In that sense, you clicking on this video and staying to this moment means that I won that competition for your attention. You getting that job, you had to beat other applicants. Getting that girl, especially if she's an attractive girl, you had to prove your value more than the other guy that she was talking to. Everything is a competition, and you shouldn't operate life in every realm with that type of mindset, but I think it is an uncomfortable truth that people duck, and that doesn't mean that you should be down on yourself when you're not the best out of everyone. But what I'm saying is that as much as possible, you should strive to become the best version of yourself and become as high value as you can.
So it's not necessarily a prescription of in order to be high value, I say you have to do this. It's more so an observation of what do men tend to generally select for in long-term partners within women, and then vice versa, what do women tend to select for within long-term male partners.
So this got me thinking too, what is a high value woman, right? So I have a girlfriend right now, and I think what made her someone that I wanted to make as my girlfriend was a couple of different qualities, right? I think personally for me, I value someone who's feminine to be able to balance out my masculine energy. And I think we matched up a lot when it comes to her values, things like honesty, open-mindedness, right? So a lot of these different values matched up. When he asked that question, maybe they took it as, you have to be 6'4" if you're a guy, or if you're a girl, you have to have a perfect body and all that. But I think one thing to remember about this conversation with high value is that, yes, generally there are things that men like in women. There are definitely certain things that women like in men. But what you also got to remember is that we're all different types of people with different experiences and perspectives. So just realize that, yes, there's obviously traditional standards of beauty, but that's not the telltale all,
To be a high value woman and to be wanted by a man, you need to be pretty or whatever. Some men will like me because I'm fucking weird as shit, and then some men won't, and then that's fine. Everyone has different tastes.
Okay, so
it doesn't have
common
anything
ground.
to do
Common
with
ground.
objective value.
Where we can find common ground is that everyone has their own personal preferences, right? You're going to have a personal preference. I'm going to have a personal preference. That might be a deviation from the norm as well, and that's completely all right. But that doesn't mean that we can't observe, generalize patterns or trends with regard to what men and women tend to select.
Yeah, I've noticed that whenever you try and make like very nuanced conversations or points, it's very easy for people to look for exceptions, and that's awesome because that provides a diversity of thought that I seek, especially in my interviews. But I think one thing to remember too is that whenever you ask these questions, especially as an interviewer, what I try and do is say, hey, like generally, in general, because then it gets them out of that mindset of like, oh no, but like I have this guy who likes this, it gets you out of that mindset.
So what would you say men tend to select for in women?
I just think in general, people, men and women, they just want to be with a good person. They want to be with someone who's got good manners, is respectful, is kind, generous to other people. And I don't think like you need to say.
I think everyone would agree with that. Yeah.
So to that extent,
Dude on the left is a bit heated. You can tell by his facial expressions.
Where are these constructs coming from that like a high value woman is different to a high value man? Why are women held to a different standard than men? So I'm assuming.
I mean, because we're different, right? We have different strengths and weaknesses. So that's why there's going to be different standards.
Assuming that you're talking about like someone's body count, how many people they've slept with, what clothes they wear. Why is that such a focus for women but not a focus for men at all? Because
that is a good question. So I think it's two parts, right? One is it's the what part of the question. What do men select for in women? What do women select for in men, generally speaking? But then there's that second part of the question, which is the why. Why do we have these double standards? Why is there an asymmetrical pattern in what men and women are attracted to? So first, let's do the what, and then let's come to the why, if that's all right. Because I think there's a combination of...
Interviewers doing a great job of kind of like breaking it down and also staying very calm and respectful.
Of biology as well as society, say nature and nurture. So generally speaking, if we were just, we're not telling someone you have to be like this in order to live your life, whatever. Generally speaking, what would you say men select for within women?
I don't think they're going to answer truthfully.
I just don't agree with the premise of the question that you're asking because, everyone's different, and I don't think that there's a generalized statement for what men would select in women.
I mean, we're all part of different social circles anyway, so the normal for what men want is different depending on social circles.
I'm looking at society at large. We might even just
Society
say
at large,
we
I think they just
even
want to meet friendly, kind people.
Look, I mean, I'll say it, right? This is the reason why, in general, men like big titties and big asses. Because evolutionarily, biologically, that's what we're geared to view as someone that's fertile. For girls, too, they're, in general, attracted to muscles because that signifies someone who's healthy and can protect them. We don't have to go to this caveman shit because, obviously, we don't live in those times. But there is an inherent biological attraction that we have. I don't know why that's, like, so vilified to even say now.
I would say that men tend to select for women who are physically attractive and who tend to be a fair bit younger as well, because both of those things can be signs of fertility and a good gene set. Beyond that, I think they also select for a caretaking or nurturing nature. They want to know that not only can they be taken care of in certain instances, but also that if they were to have children with this person, with this woman, and engage in a long-term relationship, that this woman would be capable of taking care of the children.
While the interviewer was saying that, I was looking at the interviewee's reactions, and they weren't listening to a goddamn word he was saying. They were like, wow, like, fuck. Like, just look at their faces, right? Like, they're not listening. They're not listening. They're just like, wow, this guy is an asshole for saying these biological truths. I'm just going to think about the way where I can call him a misogynistic white male.
It's a couple more, and then let's unpack it. I would also say you mentioned body count. I think that's also quite important to men, generally speaking. To go one step further, I think that overly promiscuous behavior is quite a turnoff for men, whether it's photos online or dressing, showing more cleavage, whatever. That can also be a turnoff to men. Or to certain men. Tell me what you disagree with, and let's see where we can find common ground and where we can't.
So on the point of fertility, like, I'll be realistic. Maybe we're coming from different perspectives. I don't know how old you are. We're all early, like, I'm 19, early 20s. Yeah. Like, I don't really think, I disagree with the premise saying that we're thinking about, like, oh, how fertile is a woman going to be? Especially, like, if you're in your, I don't know, late teens, early 20s, like, I challenge you to find, like, 10 people that would actually
That's a great
really
point.
consider that.
So our preferences might actually change with time. So I'm late 20s. That's definitely something that I consider. It's like, I simply do not find older women attractive. But most men around that 20s range would agree with that. Even
Yeah, I mean, it's also, it goes both ways too, right? That's why you always generally see an older guy with a younger girl, but you don't really ever see like an older girl with a younger guy. It goes both ways, right? Like men are definitely attracted to more younger girls, and then also women too, right? Because men are definitely in their primes later on in life, where let's say a girl's prime is in their early 20s.
even men in their 30s would find generally younger women more attractive. And if you look at sexual marketplace value graphs where men have rated when they find women most attractive and women have rated when they find men most attractive physically, the peak for women is much earlier than it is for men. So anyway, that's I think there's some data to back up the observation that I'm making there, even though we disagree.
Yeah, I just don't think that's something that people really consciously consider or even subconsciously consider. I don't think that's something that people really factor in. Like, if, let's say hypothetically that I was to meet someone who I found really attractive, but they were,
35?
35 would probably, I doubt I'd be on the same emotional wavelength as them. I'd just been at a different point in my life.
Do you ever find a 35-year-old woman physically attractive?
Show me a 35-year-old woman and I'll tell you if she's attractive or not. I don't know.
I would say you're much more likely to find a younger girl attractive than a 35-year-old woman. Yeah. Whereas I don't think it's necessarily the other way around.
Margot Robbie's still fun. I don't really go and look at every
Exceptions don't necessarily prove the rule.
Generally, I wouldn't, even think about like, oh, I'm passing a 35-year-old woman. Do I think she's attractive or not? Like, that's not really something I'm going to be considering.
Come on. Doing these street interviews too, you can also tell when you challenge them in a respectful way and they've noticed that like their beliefs that they've had have been challenged. Some people, I've had great conversations with some people. They're like, you know what? That's actually a really good point. I've changed my mind. But I've also talked to a lot of the majority of the people who are refusing to open their mind up. In fact, I've had experiences where doing these street interviews where I've changed my mind. A perfect example is the abortion video. I came into that video thinking, yeah, I'm definitely pro-choice. And in fact, I still am. But I think the biggest takeaway that I had after I talked about it with multiple people on both sides, pro-lifers, pro-choicers, and what I found is that, yeah, I'm definitely still for pro-choice. Women should absolutely have the choice if they would like to. But the longer you wait, the more it's murder. That's kind of like the stance that I kind of came at after having a lot of these nuanced conversations. Getting your beliefs or what you held true get shattered hurts. I've had that happen many times, but it's also amazing because now, whenever you talk to more people that you disagree with, not only could you learn more, or you could actually strengthen more of your arguments and be more convinced that you'll be more capable of debating the other side. So I think it's very, very important that you talk to people that you disagree with and come at it with an open mind where, I had to say a lot of these three people, at least just judging it based on facial expressions, they're not really listening, right? They're not really looking to find common ground as he's trying to. So I'll just end it there. But if you have any other videos that I should react to, put them in the comments below. If you want to check out the main channel, that's in the description. And I'll be making a lot more reaction videos. So thank you.